Let me just weigh in with a couple of comments. First, in terms of issues of equity and seniority. So I know of at least one worker at the college who's been here 10 years and is not yet up to $10 an hour. I know another worker at the college has been here for over 20 years and is not yet up to $14 an hour. So when you're on the bottom, the 1 to 2% raise a year doesn't mean much. But I want to caution, and here I'll stand with Dalai Lama and the Pope. I want to caution that we should not be using market principles to determine salaries and compensation. We should be using moral principles. One of the things we know about capitalism as a system is we talk a lot about the progress that's made, but what we don't understand is mass poverty is also a product of modern capitalism. There was no mass poverty before the emergence of the capitalist industrialist system. And so we don't want to get caught in the trap of setting our standards by market value, but by moral value. If you set it by market value, you could argue that if we lived in a slave economy, we shouldn't pay our workers anything, because that would be the going market value. So I think just the caution that we don't want to use that as a standard, but we really need to think hard about the moral principles we represent.
I'm Todd, I'm custodial. I'm 3 generations here at the College of Wooster. And I would like to say that I have been out in industry outside of the College of Wooster for my whole career. And I have been here 8 years. And I've watched every corporation that I worked for out there close their doors, union. They will not support people working side by side making the same amount of money and the other person not putting forth the effort that the other person may be making the same amount of money. And the reason I came to the College of Wooster was my boss at the time told me out there I was getting no benefits and I had kids, and he said, you need to get a job with benefits so that I could take care of my family. And this college provided that for me. And I started on 3rd shift as a custodian in Calc. And I worked part-time through a summer until I was hired full-time. It was my efforts, my ambition, and my hard work that got me to where I am today. Giving me something would have not been earned. And as far as poverty and children going to college, I had 3 kids with very little money. And it doesn't take being taught or tutored for SATs. My kids' desire to move forward was not based on what our financial background was. It was what I taught them and my wife taught them as children about you go out there and you get it and don't make excuses. Where you are and what you make is not who you are. And if you want to change it and you want to change the world around you, it's up to us to do that, each individual.
I would just like to say, as opposed to it being an individual effort, because I do sympathize with this. I mean, I grew up in poverty, and we are always told that we just need to work harder. But that is not necessarily the case, because it's not the case in my family. My mother has been poor for my entire life, and so have I, despite the fact that she works 60 hours a week. But aside from that, I do think individual effort can help, but I think community effort is more important. And that's what this is.
This is kind of going back to like what was said a long time ago. I think the first time the president spoke. But I think a paradigm shift is definitely possible, and I think that's why people are here today. I think the student body and certainly, you know, members of the faculty and the staff have a voice, and the administration needs to hear that. I was wondering, you mentioned a committee that I had never heard of. Could you elaborate on that and maybe give us a little information as to what areas of the college's budget, I guess, or you know, whatever, where that money would come from? Have you guys been talking about where we could pull resources from if it's so offensive to take money away from people who are making the top? Thank you.
Sure. I hope some of you are aware of this. There is a new committee that was formed this year, was formed last year to come into existence this year. Linda is a member of it. I don't think there are any other members right here. It has faculty, staff, and administration, and it's called the Strategic, help me out, Strategic Priorities and Planning Advisory Committee. So it's an advisory committee to the president, and its purview is to look at the whole future of the college. What are things we need to be thinking about for the future? How are colleges going to change? How are the student body going to change? What do we need to be aware of? But the faculty in creating this committee, the faculty in creating this committee explicitly stated that they should look into the matter of, quote, equitable compensation, which was the way the faculty had framed the living wage issue. So that is an item that is very intentionally on the agenda of the committee. And we are only now just beginning to get into that study of what should equitable compensation mean. So there is information about the committee on the website. The minutes of the committee are posted. So it's just, and the acronym, we ended up calling it SPAC, the Strategic Priorities and Planning Advisory Committee.
Okay.
Lauren?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I also wanted to add to that my understanding is that the minutes of that committee, when they're posted, are public. They're on the wiki. And also the committee, one of the principles that we have, we're in the process of developing principles for how we will work, and one of those is to listen broadly to the campus constituency. So that may be a call that when the committee actually takes up that conversation, we'll be going out to listen to faculty, staff, and students.
I remember last year for the sustainability budget plan, there was sort of somewhat of a public forum about it that really wasn't, it was really hard to find. I mean, part of that issue is we don't really have a website. Like, our website is trash and you can't find anything on it. I think if we could recreate that, because I'm sure people have a lot of different ideas about how to make this possible, whether or not all of those ideas should be taken into consideration. I think it would be really great if we knew about things like that. I don't know. I mean, I know that there are emails. I know that the minutes are public. Nobody has time to look at that unless you kind of like stuff it down our throats. So maybe, I don't know, make the emails really big. And that's okay.
I think we have time for about one more question, so we don't take too much of your night. Yes, please.
You're going to lose about 20 pounds by the night's over running around. Wasn't really planning on talking, but my boss has encouraged me twice to go up here and say something. I've been here for 4 years. I've been a custodian. I started out on second shift. I am now first shift. I work over in Holden. 40 hours a week. I bust my ass, every week, every day to come in here to make sure that you guys have toilet paper, paper towels, necessity bags, your beer bottles are taken out, you know, your pukes are cleaned up, and we do. There's a lot of us here that do that, because there are a lot of you, and we really enjoy the, you know, the little notes. I get little notes on my door, you know, have a great week, we appreciate you, and it really does, it means a lot to every one of us that, you know, that try to be here for you 7 days a week. There are people that are here on the weekends to help you. I do have a second job. I've always had a second job since I started working here. I have to work 2 jobs to make ends meet, you know, and when you reach your limit of 60 to 65 hours a week, you know, and you're still getting a disconnection notice for your electric bill. You guys live here, your electric's gonna stay on. You know, let me know if I can knock on your door and spend the night, you know, I'll sleep on the floor, I don't care. It's things like that where you get the, I don't wanna call us little people, because we're not, that do physical labor, hauling out, you know, 30-pound bags of trash. Your beer bottles are heavy. If you guys could drink beer out of a can, God, that would just help so much. Oh, dude, my muscles are, oh man, feel it. But I just think that working here for 4 years, working 60 to 65 hours a week, it takes a lot out on your body. Your body works so hard, physically, you know, you're wore out by the time Monday gets here. Oh my gosh, and you know, and you see us sitting, it's okay, because we're working really hard. We want to take just a 5-minute break to breathe and, you know, just to get our bearings situated. We are here for you guys, no complaints, but just realize that we work very hard for you. And it would just be nice if we would get some sort of recognition to where I can pay all of my bills, my rent, my cell phone, my electric. It would be nice if I have cable. You guys have more cable channels than I do. You really do, because right now I don't have it because I had to get it shut off because I can't afford to pay it. I can't go home and watch Golden Girls like I want to, you know. I have to pop in a Disney DVD. I'm such a nerd. I can hear this as I'm talking right now. Oh my God. But it would just be nice to go home at 3 o'clock, not have to be to my second job at 4 and work until 9 or 10. Get up at 6 the next morning to come here. You know, it would take a lot of stress out on a lot of us. I'm single. I'm not married. I don't have any children or, you know, any dependents like that. I do have animals, but, you know, food and the occasional vet visit. But it just, if we could get some sort of community recognition for somebody to just say, hey, you know, these people are here 40 hours. They deserve a little bit more than, you know, good medical, because our insurance is amazing. I've never worked anywhere where our insurance is so good. It is good here. But, you know, like Professor Kimmer said, I can't cash that in to go get groceries. I can't cash that in to pay my electric or, you know, to make sure my landlord gets my rent on the first. I've lived in the apartment for 3.5 years. I think he's gotten it on the first maybe 3 times. Bless his heart, he hasn't kicked me out. But just somebody to take the first step and say, you know, this isn't right. Let these people make a living like we do as professors, as faculty, you know, because we are here too, every day. And for somebody to take the first step would be phenomenal. And we're not looking for a handout, because we earn every single cent that we cash in that goes into our direct deposit. Every cent is earned. We are not looking, you know, we're not looking for somebody to say, oh man, you know, Melanie, your speech was, whoa, here's $20, go get some food. That's not what we want. We want somebody to recognize how hard we work every day and just say, at least she gets to go home, relax in her heated apartment and watch some generic Hallmark movie. Because we really earn that every paycheck, but we don't get it because we are very underpaid as staff members. And to have somebody say, well, if the faculty would take a pay cut, but I don't see that happening, it's very unfair because how many faculty have you asked to, be put on a pay freeze? When a faculty member makes a $12,000 annual raise, oh my gosh, I couldn't even imagine what that would feel like as a staff member. I wouldn't even know what to do with that. What could I do with that? I have no idea. There are so many things that I can do with that. Makes me tear up just thinking about it. Oh my gosh. But just for somebody to say, this is me, I'm going to take the first step, not to hand something out, but to push it forward and just get the ball rolling, because right now that's all we need.
So if I were to guess, I would say that, thank you, Matt. If I were to guess, I would say that a lot of emotions have been aroused by this entire night. I'm gonna let Dr. Cameron say something, but really quick. I would like to invite all of you to the call, which is now. It happens on Sundays at 1 p.m. in Lowry 119. You're all invited to come anytime and join the call, which is now.
This will be quick. I want to thank you for your comments. And I would invite, I think, any member of the administration, any member of the faculty, any member of any student body to do your job for an 8-hour day and then come back and tell us what they should be paid to do that job.
Thank you all for coming tonight. The turnout's actually quite impressive. And again, thanks again.
Unrelated.